Okay, so let's talk about run times, beam patterns, and well, let's have a look at some performance for this. I'm going to take the 14500 lithium-ion battery, pop it in, and screw it back up. Okay, so I'm not too sure what mode it's already in. It's, oh, there we go, great. So it's in Moonlight mode. Now, Moonlight mode is 0.09 lumens, and you will get a claimed 100-hour runtime. Have I tested that? No. Doesn't really matter. I mean, who's going to keep this on for 100 hours? Unless, of course, you're in a blackout situation, in which case you just need a tiny bit of light, but it's not usable unless it's really dark and you want it to preserve your night vision. Then it's fantastic. I mean, I use it at night times, but I use it for 5 minutes at a time when I need to go to the bathroom. This is not that useful for going around the house. If there is some ambient lighting, you need a bit more lighting. You crank it up to 9 lumens, I believe it is, and on 9 lumens you will get 34 hours runtime. Now, you can see the cleanness really of the beam pattern, which I will discuss in just a minute. Cranking it up to the neck, so effectively soft pressing. I'm soft pressing each time. Takes me up to 50 lumens, which will give me 6 hours of runtime. Pretty impressive for a single AA, let's be honest. Crank it up again, 105 lumens, which will give me 2.2 hours of runtime, and one last time will give me SOS mode at 105 lumens for around 4 hours. Now, taking it back to Moonlight mode, one little point I want to make is this, with the 14500 cell, is about 0.09 lumens. I'm assuming, I don't have anything to compare it with. But when I stick give me a second. When I stick a regular lithium battery, or I'm not going to be able to reach this. Let's see if I can. I should have thought about this earlier. An Eneloop. I get pretty comparable output. I don't notice any difference. However, when I put this up to the so-called 9 lumens, that isn't 9 lumens. That's more than 9 lumens. That's probably around about 30, I would assume. With the 14500, it's 9 lumens if you run one of those two batteries, which are out of focus, likely. Great. So they're out of focus, and you can see, so that's 9 lumens. That's on them, it will be doing 9 lumens, but not on this. Crank it up once more. And this 50 lumen is more like 140 lumens. I compare it to my Maglite AA flashlight, which I have converted to run an LED, and this is similar brightness to that. So yeah, it's not 50 lumens, not running a 14500. And once more, crank it up to the 105 lumens again. Not with the 14500, we're looking at about 180 lumens, comparable to my Phoenix LD20. And then obviously the SOS will be running that mode, that lumens rather, I should say. Now, that was user-defined mode. If I take the head and tighten it fully, you will see it's just gone into turbo mode. Now, turbo mode, this LED is cranking out about 300 lumens, which is comfortably within what Cree claim it can put out. Each LED is claim to be able to put out up to 1000 lumens, obviously assuming that the regulation is tight and you've got adequate heat sinking to keep it cool. This doesn't, so 300 is pretty much, I would say, as far as I'd be willing to push it in a flashlight this size without risking serious damage to the emitter head. If I soft press it again, it takes me into strobe mode. Now, strobe mode will be at that 300 lumen mode. You can see the strange pulsation on the camera. That's not how it appears in real life. It is an actual a genuinely fast strobe. I liken it to what I saw in the, what's that film called now? Kick-Ass, where Hit Girl uses the strobe mode. Pretty similar kind of thing. Crank it back into this before anybody has an epileptic fit. And one other thing I should mention is if let's say I put it back into the user-defined mode. It was actually getting quite hot there, I can feel it. And put it in, say, the 9 lumen mode. Turn it off. Give it a second. Turn it back on. comes back on in the 9 lumen mode. Fantastic feature actually, so it's got the last mode memory. Also, the way this last mode memory works is if I switch it off, remove the battery. So let's say this battery's ran out. I now need to get a replacement battery. Doesn't matter what kind, whether it's a lithium ion or an alkaline or a nickel metal hydride. Stick the new battery in, close it up. Now, normally when you do that with a regular flashlight, you don't know what mode it's going to start back in. Usually the lowest. Do it on this, goes back to the 9 lumen mode, and that works with whatever mode you do it in. The only thing it won't remember is the strobe on turbo. If I put it on, let's say SOS, it will remember SOS. So it's on SOS, switch it off, switch it back on. It's back on SOS mode. Let's put it in turbo mode. Turn it on, put it into the strobe mode. Okay, turn it off. Turn it back on. It's gone into the high, the turbo effectively, not the high. It will not remember the strobe. Why, God knows, but that's the only thing it will not remember. I should also mention that every single mode in here is regulated. So effectively, the flashlight will try to maximize the output and effectively the level of light from the cells until they are depleted. So if I'm running it on, well, I've got an SOS, so let's put it on. There we go. So we've got it on high. If I'm running on high, no, now I'm running on high. So if I'm running on high, it will try and maintain this. There will be no flickering that I've ever experienced. No flickering. It won't dim. It will simply just go out. So that's it. It will just go out when there's no more power. And which is superb. It's a tight regulation, which is superb. Better than a lot of flashlights. Like if I compare it to my oh gosh, what can I compare it to that has this issue? The LED Lenser P7. Now, different kind of flashlight, granted, but it dims. It's on direct drive. I don't think there is any regulation with that. Effectively, as the voltage in the cells drops, the output drops. Not that useful. You want to maintain your output that you've set the flashlight on for as long as possible. You don't want it to be 200 lumens, for the first 5 minutes, and then it slowly tapers off. It's not as useful. Okay, so let's talk about the actual beam pattern itself. Now, I know this is nighttime, so it's not the most ideal situation to show you the beam pattern, but let's put it on to medium mode there. Now, on medium mode, let me just move these things out of the way so you can see it a little bit clearer. Look at that. Look at the beam pattern itself. Now, I've set the exposure to lock, so it's not, the camera will not it shouldn't compensate, hopefully, for the change in brightness. That is a superb spill beam / hotspot. It's effectively, the entire thing is a hotspot. Now, if I put it on a lower mode, you'll actually see there is an actual hotspot itself, which is much bigger than a lot of the other flashlights. Like if I was to grab my Phoenix PD32 and compare it to that, the actual hotspot on that is substantially smaller. This gives you a good size hotspot with a usable spill beam, which I don't know, it's not really showing up too well on here, but if I crank it up one, you can see better just how large the spill beam area is. Effectively, the entire spill beam is the hotspot, and it's a very gradual decrease. There's no artifacts, there's no kind of ridges. Perhaps there's ever so slight, but this is all down to the reflector. They've ThruNite have done a superb job with the reflector. For my use anyway. I mean, I compare it to my Zebra light, I compare it to a lot of other orange peel reflector lights, and the only other light that I've seen that comes comparable, or the only other reflector, are reflectors done by 4.7s. Theirs are also superb. Zebra light, as good as they are, don't do as good a job. Theirs is still a little bit tight, but then because the Zebra light's such a powerful light, it gives you a massive amount of spill area as well. But obviously you've got a different power cell in there, and you've got a different reflector, different sized heads. So yeah, superb. This is also down largely to the actual LED itself, which is a Cree T6 LED. So if you look in there, you will see it's a large LED. Well, that's it. That was my long review. If you liked what you saw, please click the subscribe button below. Click like if you liked it. Don't click like if you didn't like it. Comment, rate, and subscribe will be much appreciated. Thanks, folks.